week on Junkies, hammering big female walleyes on the Wisconsin River.
Perfect. 18er.
Stay tuned for an episode you're not going to want to miss.
This is awesome. Awesome.
Check her out, boys. What a beautiful fish. Look at this thing.
Oh, yeah! Junkie Style, baby.
That is sweet.
Junkies!
Every avid walleye fisherman knows first week in April, water temperature around 40 degrees. You gotta take any opportunity you can to get out in the boat.
We knew that the water temperature was going up. It was early April, and we had a plan to go to Nakusa and try to catch some real big ones or just a lot of real nice ones. So Saturday morning came along, and I couldn't be more excited to pull in Justin's driveway before we made the trip up north.
Let's do it. Stay tuned, folks. It's early April. Justin and I are heading up to Nakusa. Got some big hogs to follow. Stay tuned.
Going into the weekend, the water temperature was up around 40 degrees, and we knew we were in shape for what could be just an epic weekend of fishing. Well, we got the boat in the water mid-morning. Tons of other boats on the water. We weren't the only ones that had the idea that the big walleyes would be running, so got the boat in, got up next to a bunch of other anglers, and we just started doing our thing. That was fun. There's your next keeper. Yes. Just inhaling the ringworm. Classic ringworm. Deep fishing. Have a keep. Yeah. Oh wow.
We were able to get the anchor to stick. This was about 3.5, 4 feet of water. We had roughly 40-degree temperatures throughout this first day of fishing too, and it wasn't long we were right on them. Started the day with a minnow, got popped one time real hard, nice fish in the boat. I switched to a BFish N Tackle ringworm, and as the footage will show, that bait was the hot ticket for the rest of the day for us.
Sweet. Oh, keep on. Ringworm.
On a ringworm. BFish N Tackle. Nice fish. Sweet.
Oh, that's a good fish, I think. Oh yeah, dude. In front of you. Good job, bud.
Oh, my biggest of the day.
Pliers?
Well, I'm just gonna show the folks at home when they're eating the ringworms. You see in there?
Back she goes. Piedmont Lake has some of the biggest walleyes to offer here in the state of Wisconsin, and with it being that time of year, first weekend in April and 40-degree water temperature, we knew that we could be in for one of the best weekends of walleye fishing, spring walleye fishing we've ever had. Why we fish the Wisconsin River. Nice fish, buddy. Inhaled it. Big girl. Big fish of the day so far. 25, I'm gonna say. Get this big girl back in the water. Start.
Nice fish, buddy.
Thank you. Let's get some more. Stay tuned.
Outdoor Junkies is brought to you by I-90 Enterprises, Hanksters Motorsports, Custom Jigs and Spins, Grandpa Ray Outdoors, Clark's Resorts and Outposts, Greater Mauston, and these fine sponsors. This has been a Stone Lake production. This segment is brought to you by Plot Hog. Join the food plot revolution at plothog.com.
Where we decided to fish was absolutely no secret. It's a really popular place to walleye fish in the spring, and as the footage will show, there was a lot of other guys that had the same idea that we did. We were lucky though on this day, the current wasn't ripping too bad, and it was a time when a lot of guys that we knew were catching a lot of fish and a lot of nice fish, and we couldn't wait to join them up there.
Pretty colors right now. Wow. Sweet.
Peanut Lake has some of the biggest walleyes to offer here in the state of Wisconsin, and with it being that time of year, first weekend in April and 40-degree water temperature, we knew that we could be in for one of the best weekends of walleye fishing, spring walleye fishing we've ever had.
Pull that net up a little bit. There you go.
Pulling double duty here.
Once we figured out the right cadence and the right jig head to use, which happened to be a 1/4 ounce, and our cadence was some sort of a pull and a drop back into the current, and the 1/4 ounce weight with that current made it so that jig was just bouncing right over the bottom. And when fish hit, it was no doubt. It was a thump. It wasn't a tick or them eating their way up, but it was a full wham right onto it, which made for some absolutely fantastic and awesome walleye fishing.
Nice net and camera job. Top of the peak. Boom. There you go, Junkies. On the Wisconsin River, just pitching ringworms. Cast away, working back down. First week in April, 40-degree water temperature, hammering. In the slot, nice fish. Done Junkie Style. That's what was the trick for the day, just using those ringworms, the action on them, and everything. The 1/4 ounce jig. There's a big difference between using a 1/4 ounce jig and a 3/8 ounce jig. Ethan was using a 1/4 ounce jig at first. Same thing, we both were using ringworms, but for some reason he was getting way more hookups than I was, so I took my 3/8 ounce off. I was in good contact with the bottom, went to something a little bit lighter, 1/4 ounce, and I think just that slight little bit of difference in how much off the bottom the jig was, the fish seemed to like it.
Didn't get that on camera. Close.
Making your internet.
See that pretty one, buddy?
What a nice fish. They just keep coming.
Sweet, dude.
It's been a good day. And running the camera. Let her go. See if we can't get Ethan.
This one likes cutting sideways. Look at her up on top.
Another nice one.
Pretty one. Really pretty. Get her back. Go do your thing, mama. Great day on the water today. Gotta live these days up.
We brought the BFish N ringworms out and put them on a 1/4 ounce jig. Started pitching that right up next to the wall, working it down on the current seam, just kind of letting it drift slowly behind the boat, working it, popping it. As I mentioned, only 3.5 to 5 feet of water, and we found the fish.
Hard to do with the camera in the net, man. That's tough.
I want to apologize for the audio. We're right next to the dam, so it's a little hard to hear, but just another epic day with my buddy Ethan Engelvold behind the camera. Putting my hurting on the big slot. Wisconsin River, big fat girls.
Great fish, buddy.
Woo!
Nice fish.
There's lots of other boats around us, but nobody could keep up with as many fish as me and Ethan were putting in the boat. It seemed like people were trying to pitch in close to us, thinking it was just where we were in the stretch of the river. I don't think that was necessarily it. I think those fish were all over, but the fact that we were using BFish and ringworms on 1/4 ounce jigs definitely was the trick of the day. So that's what was doing it for us, and as you can see, we put a ton of fish in the boat.
Ready, junkies? Biggest fish of the day coming over the gunnel right now. Look at that pretty girl.
It's gonna be cool. 27?
Oh, 20, I don't know, 25, I'm gonna say. Stay tuned for more walleye action from the Wisconsin River with Justin and I, right here on Outdoor Junkies. See you after the break.
This segment is brought to you by Hangsters Motorsports.
Hangsters Motorsports is now the fastest growing Yamaha dealer in the state of Wisconsin.
For more information, go to hangstersmotorsports.com.
There's a bunch of other boats around us. We saw some big female walleyes coming up out of the water, some good slot fish. The slot there in the river is, you can keep anything from 15 to 20 inches. You have to release anything from 20 to 28 inches, and you can keep one fish over 28 inches. So tons of slot fish coming up, anywhere in that mid-20s range. So we were pitching jigs, 1/4 ounce jigs with BFish and ringworms on. Right up next to the wall, we were about a cast lengths away, and we would just pitch into the wall and let the current take it back, working this little current seam kind of all the way back behind the boat, and the fish were stacked up in there.
That's a keeper.
This was a day that Justin and I were just on them, flat out. Where we pulled up to was the spot on the spot, and we found the hot bait right away. We saw a lot of guys around us going through a myriad of different plastics, a lot of them BFish N Tackle with Moxies, Pulsars, and ringworms, and some other Kalen scrubs and things like that. But what was getting bit throughout the day was that BFish N Tackle ringworm and something to do with chartreuse.
What is it? Might be high.
So the first spot we ended up trying was kind of a bust. We were in about 6 feet of water, sort of out of the current, but there was still a pretty good rip there, and no matter what we threw at him, we just couldn't buy a bite. But we did see some people close to us fishing a little slack water that were really putting the herd on a lot of nice fish, and we knew it was only a matter of time before we got ours that day. We had roughly 40-degree temperatures throughout this first day of fishing too, and it wasn't long we were right on them.
Double hook through.
There's so many fish in that slot range, in the mid-20 range, that are getting released, getting put back in the water to do what they're there to do, and that's reproduce, keep that fishery going very well for the next years to come.
Once we figured out the right cadence and the right jig head to use, which happened to be a 1/4 ounce, and our cadence was some sort of a pull and a drop back into the current, and the 1/4 ounce weight with that current made it so that jig was just bouncing right over the bottom. And when fish hit, it was no doubt, it was a thump. It wasn't a tick or them eating their way up, but it was a full wham right onto it, which made for some absolutely fantastic and awesome walleye fishing.
Ooh, that's a nice one.
Fish on.
Okay.
All the other boats around us weren't doing as well, but that's probably because they weren't using ringworms. Saw a lot of jig and minnows, your classic, approach. But me and Ethan and the ringworms definitely helped. Had a huge advantage for us.
Another 17. 31.
People were moving around us all day. Some would come, some would go. We saw some other groups do almost as well as we did, but we were certainly putting a hurting on the walleyes that day.
Got another nice fish for us today. That was an epic day, buddy.
Yeah, dude.
Nothing beats getting them in like that. Probably the, 30th, 40th fish we've caught. We were just talking that we kind of lost track. A lot of nice females like this. This Gorgeous. Back she goes. Let's get another one.
Ooh, might be a keeper. That's a keeper. I got it.
A little one. I think it's too short.
Damn, hammered it.
You make it?
Made it.
Huh?
15 and a quarter.
Cool.
What do you think?
Good.
Put them on?
Sure.
Sounds good.
Right through the top of the nose. There's a male. Woo.
Hey Junkies, we just got back to the boat launch. Got a pile of fish here, as you can see. Caught so many slots. One of our best days fishing ever, actually. So
Yeah.
fish were cooperating, that's for sure. That's what it's all about. Spring walleye run right here, prime example. Always getting out in the water with Ethan. Nothing better.
Get your BFish N Tackle ringworms, moxies, and pulsars.
Yep.
Get them in the water in early April, and this is what you can have. Awesome day of fishing. Some really nice fish came over the gunnel, and as you can see, a limit of real tasty eaters. So thanks for taking me out again, buddy.
Thanks
What a
for coming,
blast.
man, as always. It's such a fun day.
You bet. Folks at home, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
This segment is brought to you by I-90 Enterprises, your benchmark for excellence.
So on Sunday, Adam Buckmeyer saw how good of a day we had on Saturday. Hit us up, asked if he could hop in the boat. Obviously, we're gonna make room for him, so we made it work. We didn't want him to have to try and haul a boat up there, so we put 3 guys in my little duck hunting boat, and we made it work best we could.
Nice one, nice keeper.
Show them to the people now. It's only a half-hour show. And cut. Wisconsin River gold. You betcha.
Blade bait, huh? Oh, look at you.
Well, you folks don't know, BFish N Tackle also makes some really sweet blades. Real fun way to catch them, too.
Hey, Junkies, we're back out on the Wisconsin River again today. Buckmeyer saw how good of a day we had yesterday and had to come in and join us. So we're hooked up and see if we can't put some fish in the boat. Gotta be. So it might be decent. Another nice one.
Beauty. Sweet. Oh, but just because its mouth is open in the current? Plus, I've been calling it about an hour and a half. So idea. No idea, pardon my French.
Oh, I'm trying to keep it out of the net for you, bud.
Alright. Yeah, here.
Well, as you folks just saw, we caught some awesome fish that day and a bunch of really nice eaters. We can't wait to have our first fish fry. If you ever find yourself up near the Mauston area, the greater Mauston area, you're really only a short drive from a lot of really great flowages and a lot of really great fishing like Justin and I just had. There's a lot of great places to stay and some nice people around, and we'd love to have you up here in the greater Mauston area. We absolutely put a slam on the fish. We hope you folks at home had almost as much fun watching it as we did bringing it to you. As we always say, we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Not as big as you'd like to hoist in.
Yeah.
Nice one. That would be a good one to keep. This is how we practice catch and release. You catch them and you release into the hot grease.